Next, we have Mr. Alonzo. You ready?
Glad to have you, sir.
I like your card.
I've shown it.
That's pretty awesome of what she's doing for the Barrio in that group.
Right.
I grew up in the Barrio. I grew up on 15th and Garfield. My grandparents lived there. My great-grandparents lived across the street. And then my parents bought the lot right next to where my grandparents were. So I was fortunate enough to be raised by my grandparents, which came from Mexico, and they spoke to me in Spanish. And then my parents spoke to me in English. So we had to communicate in English, and if I wanted something to eat, tortillas or some frijoles, I had to go to my grandmother's house and be able to say that. When we had company come over to their house, they would correct me and say, no son buenos días, no son buenas tardes. So I had to learn, they taught me Spanish, the proper way to do it. So I appreciate the work that you guys are doing. I don't know if you grew up in the Barrio or your family grew up in the Barrio.
5 blocks from it. However, my first sister-in-law lived right on 21st Street.
Is that right?
That's where a lot of time is.
It's such an awesome thing that this group is doing. And I hope that we continue to support that organization. Growing up right there, it really was tough. I went to school at the private school, which was Our Lady of Guadalupe Catholic School. It was a private school. My parents had to pay for me to go there. And one thing that I found out is I was always a year of the public school systems when they were teaching in science or math. We were a year ahead. The 3rd grade level, we were doing 4th grade level stuff. But it was the nuns that were teaching the classes, and the priest was kind of like the principal. You did have a head nun that was in charge of it. That school is no longer there. The building is there. They closed the school down because of the funding and enough people maintenance, and it was really tough to try to keep it open. I'm a life member of Our Lady of Guadalupe Catholic Church. I've served on several organizations there. I was on the finance committee and finance president for like 10 years. They just wouldn't let me off of there. Every time a new priest would come on, they'd want me to stay on a little bit longer, and of course the church kept voting me back on, which what they weren't supposed to, but they did it anyway. But I enjoyed serving on that board. As my daughters got older, we got a new priest in that could speak Spanish and English. Well, they couldn't understand him in English, they couldn't understand him in Spanish. But they weren't getting anything out of church, so they decided, well, you know what, Mom and Dad, we're going to go to another church, but it's Catholic, which was fine because my grandson's in the school there at St. Joseph's, and I was talking to you about that. But they were there for a little while, then they moved. My other daughter moved closer to Canyon, so she started going to St. Thomas. So here we go. I was going to Our Lady of Guadalupe, involved in the church. Julie was going to St. Joseph's, and my other daughter was going to St. Thomas. I was used to going as a family. I kind of wanted to keep that going. At the age of 17, my dad passed away. So my mother instilled the fact that, you need to continue church. I kind of broke away a little bit from it because of his death. I was 17 and I was the oldest of 7 siblings. My mother was alone. She never worked. She didn't drive. So it was tough. I wanted to quit, drop out of school. I went to Cap Rock, which Dusty went, Laura went to Cap Rock High School. Graduates from there. So I made a promise to my dad before he passed away that I would graduate and I would take care of my mom. So I did that. I felt like I did as good as I could. I tried to raise my brothers and sisters to the best of my ability. I had to be the bad guy. I had to take a bath, get up early, let's get dressed, we got to go to school. I was the one doing the carpool and taking them for different things, and And it was tough, but it made me grow up. It made me be an adult. I wanted to go to Amarillo College, and which I did, to become a mechanic. I went to auto mechanic school. Graduated from auto mechanics from Llano College. I wanted to have my own shop and sell it and retire at the age of 35. Well, that didn't happen. I'm still working. I just recently applied for Medicare, which I really didn't want to do that, but when you reach a certain age, you gotta take care of that. You gotta have some kind of deal. I realized that I had to work. I had to get a job to take care of my family, and of course, I got married at a very young age. I was 19. We got pregnant 9 months later. Janice was born. And then we had another daughter come along, so I ended up having to work. I started part-time at Llano Cemetary when I got out of Amarillo College. And I was working on the equipment that they had: tractors, backhoes, pickups, small equipment, whatever they had, I was able to work on it. And one day they were people that waited on families that had lost somebody. There was nobody there. Well, nobody had pagers and nobody had cell phones back then. This is in the late 70s. So they needed somebody to help this family. It was a lady that came in there around 45, something like that. She was taking her 2 sons. Well, her husband died. They asked me, Joe, do you know the cemetery, right? Yeah. Do you know how to read these maps? I said, yeah. We have a family that's in there. I was working in the shop, and we have a family in this room right here that had lost somebody. And we can't get over anybody right now. So if you'll take them out, bring your car on, take them out and show them the property. Everything that's on this map right here, that's red, is sold. What's not colored off is available. So okay, so I understand that. So I got my car, drove them around, and I had a 74 Grand Torino Sport. Had bucket seats low to the ground. So I got this lady in my car, opened the door for her, and got the kids in the back, had bucket seats. Started driving them around. Well, the first stop to look at some cemetery property, I said, if you'd like to get out right here, we'll walk right to it and we'll pick it out. There's several spaces right in there. She gets out, starts to get out of my car. She goes, oh my gosh. I said, oh, you okay? She said, no. She said, I ripped my pants. She said, I ripped my pants big time. My first experience to wait on a family that had a loss. And I said, okay, that's okay. I've got a locker and I've got a sewing kit. You know, you have a sewing kit to repair your clothes, work clothes and that kind of thing. So she wrapped her sweater around her waist and she went to the ladies' restroom and stitched up her pants. And I was sitting there walking back and forth, pacing, what's the next step? What happens now, you know? And so she came out and I said, now, would you like to go back out there? She says, you know, that first area that you kind of pointed out to us, we'll take that. I can pretty much tell you where that's at, what we buried, and that was back in the early 70s. Since then, I've waited on thousands of families, a lot of families from the community, a lot of friends of mine, a lot of people that I graduated with, a lot of people that I've met along the lines. It's a job that's needed. A lot of people say, you know, it's like a ministry. And I do believe that it's like that. I think the Lord put me there. I've been there since I was 17 years old. I'm 66 now. I feel like I'm beginning to learn it a little bit. You know, to say that I enjoy doing what I do is probably an understatement. I enjoy helping the families whenever they're having their hardest, going through the toughest time in their life. If I had to take a family out today, this afternoon, the weather, not bad. To show them some cemetery property, if they hadn't selected any, no big deal. But if I had to take them out and show them something yesterday, when we had that hurricane wind, it's horrible. So I'm always telling people, if you don't own cemetery property, go out and select it. At least pick it out. You know, right now you've got your thoughts together. when there's a loss, everybody here has probably experienced a loss. You really don't, you don't have all your thoughts together. You probably haven't slept in a couple of days. You haven't eaten. You know, this is the worst time in your life, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to be there with me. I try to make it as easy as I can when I meet with families. I think I learned the hard way how to take care of family. I lost my dad, like I said, when I was 17 years old. It was tough for us, but I had to grow up. And sometimes I see, like I probably saw that lady going through what my mother had to go through, and I was at the other end of the desk and having to try to make her make that choice. I think it was very, very tough for her, but in the situation that happened, I'll never forget that. There's a lot of families that I wait on that are distraught because maybe it's a child that committed suicide. That's tragic, tragic. Those people don't have their thoughts right. Their first thought, we've got insurance, we're going to spend this big amount of money. When probably if they'd already owned cemetery property, you know, it makes more sense not to go out there and just spend a lot of money unless you really just want to do that, but you've got time to do it. I try to guide them during that process, try to make it as easy as I can. You came into my office, and a lot of people know me, so they come and ask for me. Sometimes I'll help them out, and we have other people that do the same thing. I'll go sit in there and kind of sit there with them and hold their hand if I have to, or guide them and let them go ahead and do it. But we give every family that comes in there 110% of what we have to offer of ourselves. We do 630, 650 burials a year. Some cremation, some traditional burials. Not all of those have cemetery property. Some of them have to select cemetery property. It makes it easier on us if you already own it. There are times that families are tough. Depends on what they're going through. Of course, there's a lot of mixed marriages, divorces that enter into it. There's sometimes big families that are not really getting along together. We all have that. But that's the hardest time for them to be doing something like that. It's a decision that you're making that's forever. If you just look in its face, it's going to be there forever, for here on out. I talked to a person that was from a different country. When that cemetery gets full, they make the parking lot out of it. So they've asked, well, what happens when this cemetery gets full? The cemetery is going to be here forever. You know, if you stop and think about forever, how long is that? I don't know. That's a long time. The cemetery is over 130 years old. There's over 160 acres that's developed, and we're developing another maybe 3.5 acres right now. Even though cremation is at 50%. That's for the Panhandle, that's high. Eloy said that there's a funeral home next door, Lighthouse Funeral Home. It's like I've seen those type of funeral homes in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. It's not one that's got a big chapel, that's got limos and a place where you can actually have a service. They do a little bit different. How that's going to take off in this area, I'm not sure. But every funeral home in Amarillo has little boxes about as big as these speakers right here, like maybe a Kleenex box, sitting in your closet, sitting somewhere in storage on some shelves. And those are cremated remains of somebody that was cremated that the other family members never went back to go pick up. And all of them, you can go to the funeral home and find that out. They've come to us in the past, if do you have an area where we could put these? We do. There is a fee to do that because we've got to take it, maintain it, and we've got to have everlasting care placed in that. We have a trust that we've got to put that money into. So if the family doesn't want to pay to pick them up or to go dispose of them properly or place them somewhere properly, the funeral home is not going to do that for them. if you don't have any property, and if you don't have a house, and if you don't have a car, and you have money in the bank, the county, in Potter County, will cremate you. They don't mind, they've got 200 or 300 cremated remains in a storage at the morgue. I mean, that's, I don't like that. Eloy is part of Bali for Veterans.
Yes.
I'm also a member of this group. This guy has asked me if I wanted to serve and take the minutes. I did that a few years ago when they were asking that. I
You
was
still a member?
very, very honored to do that. I'm not a veteran, but I volunteer with these guys because I see what they do. Eloy and his group, I'm going to call him his group, he's one of the founding members, is
Yeah,
that correct?
yeah.
Got with the county, in the courthouse, and there was how many veteran cremated remains that were not,
We're getting picked, we're doing 18 of them here end of this month, I believe.
that were
Unclaimed, yeah.
unclaimed,
Veterans.
that are veterans, that served our country. What you did, Special Forces, I mean, that, God bless you for doing that, and thank you for serving our country the way that you did. And thank you, Eloy, if there's any other veterans, thank you the same. But it's, that should never have to happen. I mean, that we should never do that. And also, your lives, your losses matter, whether you're cremated or whether you're traditionally buried. You're somebody's son, you're somebody's husband, you're somebody's brother, you're somebody's sister. All of you matter, and to see that they don't do that, and it kind of hits me in the heart. There's sometimes we have services that the family doesn't have a minister because they don't belong, not really in the church. One incident that I'll tell you about was this lady they had a baby. No daddy showed up. The mother, the grandmother, I don't know if it was the mother-in-law or future mother-in-law or what, but the daddy didn't show up. Had some uncles and to this baby. And they showed up, and usually they have a minister already there. Well, this particular family did not have any affiliation in the church. They were Hispanic. They didn't know what to do. And the baby was right there, the casket. And I didn't know what to do, except I don't like to bury something, a human, and not say something. I'm not a minister. I don't profess myself to be that. But anybody can pray. And so I went over to the mother and the mother-in-law, or the grandmother. I said, you guys are welcome to say a few words if you like for this child. They kind of talked about it and looked around the back. We have like 10 chairs and stuff for the family. Nobody wanted really to say anything, so the mother or the baby gets up and talks to me and says, Joe, why don't you say something? You're probably better at this than we would be. Well, that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I didn't have a Bible with me or anything like that, so I just said a few words for that baby in Spanish and in English. And so that's why I said the Lord puts you in certain places for certain reasons. Mm-hmm. I never envisioned myself doing what I do because I wanted to be a mechanic, work on people's cars. I still work on people's cars and I work on my own too. But I wanted to do that for a living. I didn't want to really do this for a living, but they called me there. I've served as ground superintendent in charge of the entire maintenance of the cemetery. I've served as assistant manager in the cemetery. I've served as general manager. And this cemetery, the first Hispanic general manager that Llano Cemetery's had. I've also served as the executive director, which was the first Hispanic executive director for Llano Cemetery. And now I'm the chief operating officer for Llano Cemetery, which is the first Hispanic chief operating officer for Llano Cemetery. I don't mind going to work every day. I don't know whether my vehicle will know where to go other than Llano Cemetery. I think about it when I'm not working, I think about it if I'm on vacation. In fact, when I go on vacation, where do you think I go? I visit a cemetery. You just kind of have a nose for that. But I love talking about the history of the Llano Cemetery. If you ever have a chance, we do have a history tour every October, and it's free. It's about, sometimes we have one tour, sometimes we have two tours on the same, with two different parts. The historic part of the cemetery, you're talking about historical sites. Llano Cemetery is a historical site, and it's the only cemetery in the Panhandle that's on the historic places. So I've had people come in from all over the world because of the historical site. They Google historical sites and they visit different sites. It's a peaceful place. We're sitting right here off of I-40. I can't imagine myself having an office right here with all this traffic going back and forth. My office is inside Llano Cemetery, where you just have all these trees. You see all kinds of little animals. Sometimes you see a porcupine, sometimes you see a possum, skunk every now and then. But the ducks, the geese, it's like you get away from everything. If you can picture Llano Cemetery, what you're doing the history of the Barrio. I remember the Barrio whenever it was, you were talking about sidewalks. There wasn't even curbs, there wasn't even dirt road, paved roads. My street, where we grew up, we would ride our bicycles in the ruts because it was not paved. But I remember my grandfather complaining when they finally paved it, and I guess they assessed him whatever cost his portion to pave that. He said, I didn't ask to have that paved. I didn't ask them to put a curb and gutter on it, so I'm not paying it. Well, after he passed away, that bill come up, and of course it had interest on it. So we had to go try to clear that up. And so I went, and they kept saying, grandfather didn't want to pay it. And I said, well, it must have been very low, because right now it's only like $700. And this has been years ago that it was paid.
Right.
So I'm really glad that you're doing what you're doing, and I'm glad that you're raising the funds to put the sidewalks, and it's not going to burden the people that actually live there, because a lot of them are on a limited income. Barely have enough money to maintain their homes. I've been there. I've done that. I remember not having anything. One thing I remember when my dad passed away was some of my cousins and some uncles coming over because they felt like they needed to come and raise us now. Well, there were some broken windows, there was some trim that needed to be repaired and painted. They were all showing up to do that. One thing that they didn't, and probably didn't feel comfortable doing, was coming in and helping raise my brothers and sisters. That kind of fell on me, and I had to back my mom up. My mother at that time was very, very stressed out. She resorted to drinking. She would have alcohol delivered because she never drove. And as my daughter started getting older, and at that time she realized, well, these girls are going to be dating. I really got to get an active living. So she went to Amarillo College, took a driving class, got her driver's license, but she never bought a car or drove. And she was a homemaker this whole time. And so as we got older and we graduated, she decided she wanted to go to work. So she cleaned the offices at John Chandler Ford. So she really loved doing that. She worked till she couldn't really work anymore. But she was also known as the lady that used to walk the Barrio. She would walk everywhere. She would walk from 15th and Garfield down to Fiesta Foods to get the groceries or just get one thing or another. But she loved to walk. We would always walk anyway when we'd go from 15th and Garfield to White's downtown or to J.C. Penney's, which was downtown. We'd even walk to the movies. There were 2 movie theaters downtown, the Paramount and what was the other one?
Alonzo, wasn't it?
No, that one I couldn't really good.
Liberty?
Liberty
Liberty,
was
yeah.
the other one. And so we would walk there, so she was used to walking everywhere. One day she was walking to Walmart after they built the new Walmart, which is the one that's over there on Grand Street, what they call it, back when they were new. So she walked through there, Garfield walked over there and did her walking, shopping, and then she walked back. When she was walking back by Alamo Park, and she saw this picnic table that was there, and she wanted to go ahead and rest a little bit and walk in the shade. Well, she was fixing to step off of the picnic area that had a concrete slab. She tripped out and fell and broke her wrist, both bones. Luckily, there was a girl that was jogging around the park, stopped to pick her up, and checked on her, and then said, "I'm going to go back and get my car. I'll be right back." Put her in the car. She was holding her arm. She said, "Take me to the cemetery. Take me to the cemetery." "Oh, you're not that bad." Well, no. Take me to the cemetery. My son works there. So here she comes. She brought her in the office, and she had her scarf around her, had her arm like this, and I said, "Oh my gosh." So here we go to the emergency room and X-rayed her, broken bones. Had to do surgery and put things in. She still walked, continued to walk, and she's 93, she's still alive. So that walking really did her good. Mm-hmm. She was walking in front of an old restaurant that was there, which is part of the history of the Barrio Club, Fairless restaurant. My grandmother's sisters owned that restaurant, which was the Sanchez family. Mm-hmm. And what I remember is that the only way that you could go eat, you have to call ahead and call them, because they didn't have food prepared. They prepared, if you ordered a certain meal, they prepared it right then. Mm-hmm. It was freshly prepared. It was kind of like home cooking. Mm-hmm. But anyway, she was walking right in front of Fairless restaurant, almost home. No sidewalks. It was just dirt, gravel, grass, and weeds. So she tripped and fell. Broke her wrist again. Both bones in a different spot. Did the same thing to the ambulance. Sometimes they call the ambulance. They take me to the cemetery. None of you that bad. So they gave her a cell phone, and so they dialed my number and called me, and I was at the office. And so here we go again to the hospital. But anyway, I really enjoy what I do. If you can say that you must be more for doing that, but I help families. The staff that we work with help families. Laura's worked there, so she understands the loss of loved ones, and we've all experienced, like I said, a loss. I was talking to one of the ladies today. She's retirement age. I'm trying to retire, I would, but who can afford to? We were talking, well, what would you be doing, George, if you were retired? I said, I would only stay retired for one day, man. That's all I could handle. I have to be doing something. Mm-hmm. I think that I would have to wean myself away from Llano Cemetery a day at a time. Maybe 4 days in 1 week for a while, and then go down to 3. I don't know. I don't think I could do it. I'll probably work till I just can't work anymore until they throw me out or they put me under. So, but anyway, Llano Cemetery offers burial spaces for regular burial. We have a lot of options for people that are cremated. We have mausoleum crypts. We have double depth lawn crypts. We can be buried one above the other. We have a glass front, what they call a glass front niche, where you can put the cremated remains. And some people put like baseball cards, a baseball glove, and a ball with the remains of the person that's in there, which is a way that they can honor them. Because if you go to the cemetery now, they bring that stuff out there and place it on the grave. There's a lot of people that scatter the ashes. I've got areas out there in the cemetery that people buy a space to put a marker on. There's nobody buried there, but they come up to decorate. Mm-hmm. I think you have to have a place that you can go out there and touch. So that's my family. That's my number. It's a very, very peaceful place.
New areas? You got a new area? East?
Yeah, we're developing another 3 acres, I believe. Right now we're in the process of doing that.
Veterans. What's it?
Well, we got the new veteran section, Field of Freedom. We've got a huge flagpole in the center. I think you guys helped dedicate that, which I really appreciate. And we honor anybody's loss, anybody's family. And that's in the heart of the Barrio, really. Llano Cemetery, the first burial was back in 1890, in Morrow. They were traveling through town and she died in that area, so they ended up burying her right there. Of course, other burials started popping up around it. And it really wasn't a cemetery, but it was kind of there, and it was burial. Families would come in and do a little bit of work, and then they called it Amarillo Cemetery for a little bit, but it really never really dedicated that. A group of ladies got together, and we're doing kind of like what you're doing, trying to get the barrio cleaned up, rejuvenated, polished up. Well, they kind of thought to do the same thing. Amarillo didn't have any trees. It was just all flat land. The railroad was here. Some oil was here. Some cattle was here. I think they had a racetrack on the northeast side of town. So the only place really that people had to go was near the inside the cemetery, because it was more like a park. Because these ladies would meet once a month and put in like $1 for dues. And with $1 dues, they buy some trees, they buy some landscaping, they buy some seed. They would maintain and meet and take care of the different grave sites that were there. Then it was chartered in 1921 and became a cemetery. It's one of the only non-profit cemeteries in the Panhandle, one of the largest by far. But I'm kind of let it go at that. I appreciate Laura calling me and inviting me to come and speak at this. So I appreciate everything that everybody is doing here. I'm anxious to see how this thing turns out into you, because I grew up right there. Anyway, thank you all for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.